As Adam mentioned, my primary focus is on threats to US elections that come from overseas. We've talked about some of them already today. I also focus on how that foreign interference impacts our domestic media, our social media, our political climate, and our campaigns. Our foreign adversaries want us to be divided. They want us to be susceptible to inflammatory information online, and they want our system to be in chaos, many of them. So while we can't see many of these attacks, they're happening all the time and they're having an impact. We've witnessed several types of attacks on our democracy directed from overseas. First, the hacking and public release of confidential documents by hostile foreign entities to influence an election in favor of a preferred candidate. Think WikiLeaks or the Clinton campaign emails. Second, public disinformation and misinformation campaigns. We've heard about these a lot today, waged largely on social media that are designed to create division in our country. Foreign actors create fake accounts. They appear to be real voters, but they're actually trolls or bots. They promote propaganda or conspiracy theories or outright lies. And then that information often gets shared by real people thinking it's true. Hostile foreign entities do this to try to rile Americans up against each other and make us distrust our own election outcomes by promoting false conspiracy theories about things like voter fraud. Third, we've seen the scanning and probing of voter registration rolls and other voter data by Russia. There's no public evidence that this data was ever altered, but it's certainly an area that experts are keeping an eye on. Russia isn't the only country undertaking this kind of activity. Other folks have mentioned China and Iran as well. But what's clear is that these foreign countries know our political system. They understand how it works, and they're using that knowledge against us. So as Adam mentioned, we're currently watching the upcoming elections in Germany, which are taking place on September 26th as a case study for what Russia might try to do here in our upcoming elections. You see on the screen there, the German chancellor who is not on the ballot and Russian President Vladimir Putin. So there are a number of key issues at stake for Russia in these elections, and a growing body of evidence indicates that Russia is already meddling by using their media networks to spread propaganda and false information, trying to sow that doubt among voters, and by stealing information through cyber attacks against prominent politicians with the goal of then embarrassing them ahead of the election. So this Russian propaganda machine is thriving. Ooh, hold on. There we go. Thriving in Germany today. Kremlin-backed media outlet RT Deutsch, Russia Today, Germany, so RT Deutsch, as you see there, is leading this effort, in part by promoting positive stories about a far-right German party, which it sees as more favorable to Moscow's point of view, and really they see it as a disruptor in Germany's political system. According to one think tank, in 2021, so just this year, RT Deutsch has been the third most retweeted media account in Germany out of all traditional and foreign media. And much of the information they're sharing just isn't accurate. Just this week, the German Foreign Ministry actually called Russia out, saying there had been a rise in phishing attacks, as Cliff outlined phishing attacks. So there had been a rise in phishing attacks on prominent politicians. And they blamed these cyber attacks on actors from the Russian state. German intelligence has assessed that these attacks could be a prelude to a leak campaign, a public leak campaign in the run-up to the elections designed to influence them. So we're going to be watching out over the next few weeks to see if some of that information somehow makes its way out into the public. All of these tactics have been used by Russia against us in the past and certainly will be again. Last but not least, Cliff talked a lot about ransomware. There is also this ever-present threat of ransomware attacks by criminal outfits, most of whom are tied to foreign intelligence or foreign governments, adversaries against our election infrastructure. This slide shows that the different kinds of infrastructure that we have with our elections, which has been designated, as most of you I'm sure know, as critical by the US government. That means DHS can provide prioritized cybersecurity services at the request of state and local elections officials. Jurisdictions should definitely take advantage of that. You see on the slide all the various players in the elections business. Each one of these people or these entities represents a potential vulnerability for foreign interference. This next slide shows examples of all the election assets that could be subject to foreign threats before on and after election day. All of these need to be secured. What's interesting is we've seen many examples of foreign attacks not actually stopping on election day. You would think the election happens and they stop. We've seen a lot of evidence that they're actually continuing in the aftermath of elections, particularly close ones. Again, trying to sow chaos in those days following an election. You see something like January 6th happen in the aftermath. So foreign actors are very focused on the aftermath as well. So the question of the day, what can we do? First, use good operational security. We heard this earlier from Cliff Newman, multiple layers of security, not one single point of failure. We have to train ourselves and campaigns and political parties and elections officials to detect foreign-based disinformation. That includes how to spot bots, do things like look for hyperactivity. If someone's tweeting more than 50 to 60 times a day, they're either a bot or they aren't doing much at work, but they're probably a bot, or unlikely popularity for a very recently started account. You can also look for odd English syntax, which often indicates the person is not a native English speaker. This is a good example of one kind of bot to be on the lookout for. In 2017, an account called Kirsten Kellogg posted a tweet attacking a US media outlet that tends to be left-leaning. This account had very low activity. It only had 76 followers when it tweeted and wasn't following anyone itself. But if you look at this, you can see its post was retweeted and liked over 23,000 times. Chances are that's not real. These are the kinds of things to look for. Often these are being run by hostile foreign entities. We also have to work with tech companies to push them to combat proliferation of disinformation. Sarah talked about this just a few minutes ago. These social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter, they are online website hosting companies. The individuals running them, they all have civic responsibilities as they grapple with this disinformation that flourishes on their networks. And so much of this comes from overseas. There are regulatory challenges, there are language barriers, there are language challenges. These companies really have a role to play here. A huge part of fighting this disinformation, of course, is also increasing media literacy. So people just don't automatically believe what they read online. This is obviously a much broader societal problem than just how it relates to elections, but it is a problem that is spreading faster than fact checkers or tech companies can keep up with it. We also need people to want to know when they're being fed disinformation. We need them to want to not just believe the things that bolster their own beliefs that they already have. Finally, we and our allies have to use whatever tools we have to pressure countries like Russia to show them that there will be consequences if they continue to meddle in foreign political systems. The US is working very closely with our NATO and European partners to do just that. So the good news is, although this is a big challenge, there are things we can do to protect our systems. You've heard about a lot of them today, and there are a lot of people watching this space to see the threats coming and help you combat them as well. So thank you for joining today. And Adam, I'll turn it back to you.